Hey guys, welcome back. We'll continue with the book Cracking Codes with Python, and in this video we're going to cover how we can run a brute force attack breaking the Affine Cipher program that we wrote in the last episode. Let's get right into it. In the last video we learned that the Affine Cipher is limited to only a few thousand keys, and therefore we can quite easily run a brute force attack against it. So let's write a program to run a brute force attack and break a message encrypted by the Affine Cipher. To follow along, you can head over to inventwithpython.com. A link is also in the description down below. To get started, let's open up idle and let's create a new file, which we can save as affinehacker.py. To start off, we are going to import 4 different modules that we need. This includes the paperclip module, which allows us to easily copy and paste our encrypted message. Then we are importing the Affine Cipher module that we wrote in the last episode, our detect English module that we wrote a couple videos ago, and our cryptomath module that we also wrote, which we can use to calculate the greatest common divisor and also to find the modular inverse. We then have a constant called silent mode, and we can use that to decide if we want to print out every single possible key and the corresponding decrypted message, or if you only want to print out the decrypted message at the very end. We then have our main function, and here we have the encrypted message that we want to brute force, trying out the different keys. And to do that, we're going to use the hackAffine function that we defined out here, and we pass a message as an argument to it. And the return value is going to be stored in hacked message. And hacked message can either contain an actual plain text message, or it can contain the value none. So if it contains the value none, we're going to print out failed to hack encryption. Otherwise, we're going to print copying hacked message to clipboard. Then we print out the hacked message, and we are copying it using paperclip. Now our actual code to brute force the message takes place inside of the hackAffine function. The hackAffine function of course accepts our message. We are printing out hacking, and then we are notifying the user that they can quit the program at any time by pressing Ctrl+C for Windows or Ctrl+D on macOS or Linux to stop the execution. After that we are brute forcing by looping through every possible key, and for that we are looping over the number of symbols, which could for example have a value of 66. And then we're using the exponent operator that we haven't seen before to raise that to a power of 2. So for instance, let's assume symbols is going to have a length of 5. By using the exponent operator with a value of 2, we would use a range of 5 to the power of 2, so 5 squared, which would be 25. And we are doing that because we know that when we work with the Affine Cipher, we have 2 keys, key A, which we use for multiplication, and key B, which we use to then shift the index by a certain number. And of course we know that key A and the size of the number of symbols need to be relatively prime. So key A has a maximum size of the length of the symbols. And key B also can be the size of the number of symbols. So by raising that value to a power of 2, we are counting for 2 keys. So we're basically multiplying the maximum number of values for key A with the number of values for key B, and that's going to be our upper range. So we need to cover all of those, and therefore we are using the range function with the length of the symbol squared. Now inside of this for loop, we are first going to get back key A, and for that, if we think back to the last video, we need to use the getKeyPart function, passing the key to it, and this is going to give us back a tuple with key A and key B, and of course we're interested in key A, so therefore we are going to index into the first value by passing an index of 0 to it, and that's going to give us back key A. And then of course we still need to check that our possible key A is valid. So therefore we are going to use the greatest common divisor function, which is part of our cryptomath module, and we're passing key A and also the length of our symbols constant to it. And if the greatest common divisor between those 2 values, key A and the size of symbols, is not equal to 1, then we know they're relatively prime to each other, and that means we have a valid key, and we're going to use the continue statement. The continue keyword allows us to skip the rest of the loop and just start from the beginning of the loop again. And we're doing that because we know that if the greatest common divisor of key A and the size of the symbols is not equal to 1, then key A is not valid. So therefore we need to basically start from the beginning again and look for a new key A. And only if they're relatively prime, so that the greatest common divisor between those 2 values is equal to 1, then we're going to continue with the next step. In the next step, we are then going to use the decrypt message function, which we defined also inside of the Affine Cipher module, and we're passing our key and the message as arguments to it. Now, if the silent mode constant that we defined up here at the very beginning is not set to true, then we're going to print out the keys that we tried out. So in this case, the key that we used, as well as the first 40 characters of our decrypted text, so we can already take a look if that's proper English. And to determine if it's valid English, we are going to use our isEnglish function, which is part of our detect English module, and we're going to pass the decrypted text to it. And this function, of course, determines if the words inside of our decrypted text are actually English, and only if that's the case, then we're going to execute the next steps. Specifically, we're going to print out possible encryption hacks, we're going to print out the keys, as well as the decrypted message with the first 200 characters. And then we can check that partial text to see if it makes any sense, and if it does, we would press D to be done, or if it doesn't, we can just press enter and basically continue this process. And if we type in D or any string that starts with D, then we're going to return the decrypted text. And to cover all the different cases, for example, that users type in a lowercase or uppercase character, or for example, more than the one character, we're taking the response and we're first going to strip any whitespace character from the left and right side of our string. Then we are going to turn it into all uppercase characters, and then we are checking if that string starts with a D. And if that's the case, then we're going to return our decrypted text. And if we never find any message that makes any sense to us, then of course we would not press D, and if we reach the end of our loop, we would then return none. And this return value, of course, is used in our if-else statement to either print out the hacked message and copy it, or to print out that we failed to hack the encryption if we were looping through all the possible keys and never found any message that made sense to us. And of course, at the very end, we need to use our if statement as in the other programs we wrote before. So let's run our program by selecting run module. And here we can see we are trying out a number of different keys with possible different messages. And we keep on going until we find a key for which we would get a proper output, something that looks like English. So here we can see for a key of 2894, the decrypted message would be a computer would deserve to be called intelligent if it could deceive a human into believing that it was human. So that looks like a valid message, therefore we can type in D and press enter. And now we can see the entire message. So in this case it's a rather short message, therefore the first 200 character basically match the original message. And this is our decrypted message here. So in this case it took us a couple of attempts until we got to the key 2894. But with this brute force approach we were actually able to break the Affine Cipher without knowing the key, and therefore we can see that the Affine Cipher is not secure because we can use a brute force attack to actually break the encryption and get back the original decrypted message. So now that we understand how our program works, let's have a closer look at the exponent operator that we were using inside of our for loop when we were looping through every possible key. So here we are using those two asterisk symbols, which allows us to take a value and raise it to a certain exponent. So to try that out, we can head over to our interactive shell. And here we could say we want to use a value of 5, then the exponent operator and a value of 2. And we can see this allows us to raise 5 to the power of 2. And of course we can do the same with a different value and another exponent. So for example, we could raise 2 to the power of 5, which would give us a value of 32. So rather than having to type out 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, so a total of 5 times, we can use the exponent operator, which is a lot clearer. Another new concept is the continue keyword that we use to stop the current iteration of our for loop and simply skip back to the beginning. So to better understand the continue statement, let's try this out in our interactive shell in idle. And before we actually have a look at the continue statement itself, let's first have a look at a regular for loop. Here we are looping over a value I from 0 all the way up to, but not including a value of 3. So we are going to loop from 0 to 2 using the range function, and we're going to print out the value of I, and then we're going to print out hello. So here we see 0, hello, 1, hello, 2, hello being printed out. And let's say we want to use this for loop, but we don't want to print hello at the very end. For that we can simply add a continue statement here after print I, and this continue statement here will stop the execution of that loop and simply jump back to the beginning. So print hello, even though it's included inside of that for loop, is never going to be printed out, because the continue statement here always makes sure that we stop the execution of the current loop iteration and jump back to the beginning. So as we run this code, we can see we print out 0, 1, 2, but hello is never printed out. So whenever we want to exit the current iteration of a loop prematurely, the continue statement is the right way to go. Let's have a look at the practice questions. The first question is, what does 2 to the power of 5 evaluate to? So we know that we can use the exponent operator to raise a value, for example 2 to the power of 5. So in this case, this is going to be equivalent to multiplying 2 times 2 5 times, which is a value of 32. And we can check that in idle. So if we type in 2 to the power of 5, we can see that's a value of 32, which is equivalent to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, so a total of 5 times, which of course also is equal to 32. The next question, what does 6 to the power of 2 evaluate to? So that's of course the same as 6 times 6, so we get back a value of 36. Let's check that in idle. 6 to the power of 2, and we get back this value. Next up, what does the following code print? We have a for loop here that's looping for I in the range of 0 up to but not including 5. And if I is equal to 2, we're going to execute the continue statement and therefore jump to the beginning of our loop again. Otherwise, if I is not equal to 2, then we're simply going to print out the value for I. So that means we're going to start out with a value of 0, which is not equal to 2. So therefore we're going to print out 0. Then 1 is not equal to 2, so we're printing out 1. 2 is of course equal to 2, so we are jumping to the beginning of the loop. We are not going to print out 2. 3 is not equal to 2, so we're going to print out 3. And then 4 is also not equal to 2, so we're going to print out 4. So we're basically going to print out all the values from 0 to 4 without the value of 2, because for 2 we used the continue statement to skip that iteration. Let's have a look at that in the interactive shell in idle. So typing out our code and pressing enter, we can see indeed we're printing out the values from 0 to 4, but for a value of 2, we skip that iteration and therefore 2 is not being printed out. The final question is, does the main function of our Affine hacker.py program that we just wrote get called if another program runs import Affine hacker? And that's not the case, so the answer is no. And that's because when a program is imported, the name variable here at the very end is set to the name of the program, so Affine hacker, and therefore the main function here won't be called. We covered how we can use a brute force approach to break a message encrypted using the Affine Cipher. In the next video we are going to learn about a substitution cipher that can have trillions of keys and therefore cannot be broken using a brute force attack. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date and see you guys in the next video.